Let's talk about lack of direction, lack of purpose, lack of fulfillment, feeling empty, feeling like you're stuck in a superficial loop that never fucking ends. Always chasing the next big thing, always chasing the thing that lies in front of you, but when you reach it, you never really feel anything. It doesn't really give you the thing that you thought it would give you. And I know this because this was exactly where I was as well. When I had my own online coaching business, I was making 50 to 100 grand a month. I had everything. I had my first class flights. I had my fast cars. I lived in a penthouse. I had all the niceties. I was dating girls, and I did everything that I thought I should have been doing, that everyone taught me to do. But it made me feel pretty fucking empty at a certain point. And I also had this feeling of like, what is the point in all of this? Where do I go from here? Because once you make it financially, right? Once you create a life that you have visualized for yourself, like what's left, what happens then? And I did a lot of digging into this because that lack of fulfillment, that lack of purpose, it will eventually affect your life. It will eventually affect the way that you make decisions. It will affect your relationships. It will affect the way that you take on new ventures, for example. And it just affects your overall mood, right? Because if you wake up every day feeling like, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Where am I heading? That's, especially relationships, for example, that's something that really affects relationships because it doesn't give you the opportunity to really be present with yourself. And it doesn't really give you the enjoyment of life that life can give you. So eventually a lack of purpose and a lack of direction and a lack of fulfillment leads to more of the external stuff. So we seek out more distractions. And there's two types of men when it comes to this, right? So we have the active destroyer, the chaos seeker, and we have the overachiever. And basically they both have different kinds of behavior, but it all stems from the same lack of purpose, lack of direction, lack of really realizing who they really are. So what I did, for example, when I made it financially, I went to a lifestyle which was full of parties, women, drugs, just more of the external stuff, just complete chaos, escapism as well. And a lot of that had to do with, external validation issues as well, but also because there was nothing with all the material stuff that I had, nothing really, it didn't do it for me, right? So when I was making 50 to 100 grand a month, I was going out every weekend, I was taking drugs, I was, partying, girls, women, reckless spending, all of that stuff. And I figured out that all of these things also had a purpose, right? So the partying was just constant distractions. The drugs was emotional numbing or artificial highs because it makes you feel something, right? Makes you feel alive. And the women was validations, temporary significance. So that was what I chose to do with the lack of purpose, lack of direction, lack of, of fulfillment. And the other guy, which is also something that I did for a long time, I probably did that first, which is, driven by status, success, and achievement. And both are like the two different behaviors, but they both stem from the same thing, and they both do the same thing. They avoid confronting yourself. But all of these things that we're doing, whether it be, partying, drugs, whether it's, chasing status, chasing more followers on Instagram or whatever it is, all of it does the same thing, and it creates noise to distract us from the thing that we really need to focus on, from the things that are uncomfortable, that are underneath, which most of the time is just not knowing who you really are. Emotional discomfort, it's that lack of purpose that we feel. It's that feeling inside that we know that something's off, that something's wrong, which we do not want to confront. So we try to fill our lives with more of the external, with more noise, with more distractions, so that we can just avoid those things. And we create the most elaborate ways to do that. But if you do it long enough, if you seek out these distractions long enough, if you sit with that feeling long enough, you start to neglect it, and you start to, it's never going to go away by taking on more of the external. And what happened for me is I lost everything. I lost my car, my penthouse, my money, my business, because one way or another, you will need to be forced with the internal side, the internal things that are keeping you where you are, that are keeping you stuck. And if you do not want to face that willingly, then life will force it on you. Something will happen, whether it's a relationship that breaks apart, whether it's a business that comes crashing down, or whether it's maybe a health scare of some sorts. Some significant event, situation will come to pass, which will eventually lead you to go inward. Because, like, for me, what happened to me, everything got stripped away from me. All the external stuff got stripped away from me, which I'd been building over years and years and years of time. And the only thing that was left for me to do was eventually go inward to fix that internal problem. And that's all it is. It's an internal problem. And we'll dive into this in this video because I want to show you what I did in order to live a very much more fulfilling life, to get rid of that uneasy feeling that I have when I wake up in the morning or when I go to bed, or that never-ending chase for more of the achievement, more status, more money that doesn't really make you happy or make you feel fulfilled in the first place. I want to share some things that really helped me. Because over the past 7 months since that happened, I made a decision. I made a decision to completely change my life, everything, just to completely rewire my identity from the inside out, because I had to. It didn't work any other way. But what I found was something very interesting, because most of the problems that we experience in our day-to-day life, most of the things that we think we need to fix on the outside are usually on the inside, especially with young, successful entrepreneurs who have made it. But everything that we often do, most entrepreneurs, and this is the thing that I figured out, is that everything that we do mostly stems from a lack of purpose inside. So whether it's a path that you go on where it is full of chaos and escapism, or whether it's, status, money, achievement, recognition, validation, both of these things are not self-authored. They're not your own path, because one is driven by impulse and chaos and the other one is driven by expectation and conditioning. But the question that you really should be asking is, what really matters to you? Like, who do you really want to be? So the thing that I realize is that when I speak to a lot of young entrepreneurs, for example, and I speak to a lot of guys between ages of 21 even up to like 33, 34, and even with 34, the problems are most of the time very similar. It's like you made it because you have created a life that you thought was yours, but you never really stopped to ask yourself why you did it in the first place, why you created that life. And every entrepreneur says the same thing. It all starts with, oh, I want freedom. I want to travel the world. I want to take care of my family. And that's very noble and it's very good. But most of the time, even these are things that we have implemented in our lives as a goal that we should achieve because of something that we've seen online. And this is still why even a lot of guys that actually make that, they don't feel fulfilled after making it, because it was never really theirs to begin with. Again, it's very noble, it's very good if you do these things. Most of the time when we reach our goals, they are not our goals, but they are an expectation met, because everything that you see online, even like that, I want freedom, I want to travel, I want to escape, I want to help my parents, even these things are usually just things that you've seen elsewhere that you've kind of copied into your own life. But if you never ask yourself the question, what really matters to me? Who do I really want to become? Then purpose never forms. Because purpose doesn't come from more money, materialism, achievement, validation. It doesn't come from that. It comes from alignment between your own truth and your actions, aka who the fuck do you want to be in this life? What do you really want to do? What do you really care about? And what actions are you taking to actually make that a reality? And most men, they live a lifestyle, they create a lifestyle that simply avoids that truth because it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to sit with these things. So we run away from it. We don't know how to go inward. We don't know how to do that. There is not a book, there's not a step-by-step process that really helps guys in our age bracket to do these kinds of things. And that is also one of the reasons why, if you don't know how to fix it internally, if you don't know how to go inward, you're going to try and fix it externally, which is never going to help you solve the things that you're struggling with. So when I look at myself, for example, I built a life that looked right from the outside. Successful on paper, followers, my Instagram page looked nice, but it didn't feel right. It didn't feel authentic. It didn't feel real to me. And I didn't have a discipline problem. I didn't have a motivation problem. I didn't even have a consistency problem, but it was an identity problem that I had. So when I look back at my life and all the things that I did them, I wanted to make a lot of money. I knew from a young age that I wanted to become very, very rich, and I wanted to escape the matrix and all that kind of shit. I looked up to guys like Andrew Tate and Iman Gadzhi when I started my own business. And I achieved all of these things, right? And I was chasing things, again, that I would never really mind to begin with. And I created a lifestyle, but I never really stopped to ask myself, why does this really matter to me? So what we often do is we live our life based on conclusions that we've never ourselves questioned. There's a great book by Gary John Bishop, I think his name is. It's called Stop Doing That Shit, where he basically explains how we are conditioned, and especially now by social media, by our environment, to meet certain expectations which were never really ours to begin with, or which we never really question, like, why do we actually do this? We just do them because we think it is important. Make money, be respected, win, we get a blueprint for this, and that should be the life of a guy. That should make you happy. But the fact is that we've got this epidemic right now of young, successful guys who are just fucking lost. And they're playing a character they don't really know themselves. They're not authentic. And slowly but surely, it's killing you. It is poison for the soul. So you have built a life that looks successful, but it feels empty because you don't know why you built it in the first place. And that obviously is not going to help you. And so this is where most guys end up in the loop. Because we don't know how to go inward, we don't know the process of like, how do we actually deal with these things? We create this loop for ourselves where we just set bigger goals, bigger achievements, crazier parties, crazier things. And when we achieve it or when we experience it, it gives us a temporary relief, but eventually we always end up with the same feeling. So we set a bigger goal. And once we hit that, it's the exact same thing. Like I've spoken to guys who are making millions a month, who feel this lack of purpose, who feel this lack of discipline, who feel this lack of direction. And no matter how much money they make, they never seem to really get there, because they're chasing the wrong thing. And it's not necessarily because they want to, because they simply don't know how to go in. And this is the problem with most guys. Most guys, they avoid this hard truth, is that your ambition, your eternal drive for success often is also it's just avoidance. Just like my distractions were, like when I was partying and all that kind of stuff, it's just distraction from the thing that you really need to do. It's a different form, but it does the exact same thing. Because we don't want to face what's underneath. And underneath, we have, listen, this is the thing that I noticed with every single guy that I've been speaking to over the past couple of weeks. We all have insecurities. We all have things that we rather do not want to face. So we try to keep running away from them. This is certain pressures, certain things from our past, maybe even certain traumas, right? But it's just this uneasy fucking feeling that we do not want to face, which is why we just keep busy, why we create noise, so that we do never experience the stillness that gives us the ability to really listen to what's inside. So my mistake when I first started this journey was that I wanted to build something new. I thought I need to become better. I need to update myself. Well, in some sort of ways you do, because you need to create a new version of yourself. You need to build a future, right? But what I've noticed is that it's more so of removing the things that do not serve you, removing the layers of you that are not yours. And once you do that, you are left with the thing that is true to you. You are left with the true, authentic self from which you can create, from which you can live on a day-to-day basis. And that requires you to do some uncomfortable digging. So for most guys, the trick is not trying to figure out what to add into their lives, but just stop running and removing what's in the way so that the thing that's already there can rise and can be nurtured. And a lot of these things, and this is something that we'll go over in a different video, will come from inherent beliefs from your past that you are not good enough, or that you are not worthy of something, and that you need to do certain things in order to be seen or in order to be valued, right? But this is something for another video, but it is something that I want to give you because it's interesting to dive into that as well. So what would you do? Like the things that I eventually did, what really helped me was you need to create space for yourself. You need to break the loop. And you don't break the loop if you keep, checking this thing, checking what's on there, comparing yourself to other people. If you have to create some sort of stillness, you have to create some sort of environment where you have the time to think, all right? So you have to go into this work with the idea, I'm actively going to do this work. I'm going to confront something in myself that I have never really confronted, I've never really spoken to. And in order to do that, you need to remove those things, right? So you need no distractions, stillness, give yourself space. Less stimulation, less constant chasing. Sometimes less is more. Sometimes it's not even taking a step back, but just taking this breather, allowing yourself to just have time to think. And then you'll hear a voice that will, then you can listen to yourself. And that is what we need to do. We need to be able to listen to ourselves. Tony Robbins says this as well. You need to sit with what you feel, because the things that you feel are not something that you should run away from. They're a signal. They're telling you what you really need to do, what you really want. But for some reason, we make up these most elaborate ways and strategies to not listen to that feeling because we don't know what to do with it. But once you do know what to do with it, once you really face it, once you accept it that it's there, because it's never going to leave. It is never going to leave, my friend. I can tell you this. Once you accept that it's there, you can shine a light on it and you can use it as a guide for moving towards the direction that you really want to move in. It will show you what you need to do. And you need to ask yourself some questions that you want to be brutally honest with. So a big question that I always ask the guys that come to me is, if no one could see your life, especially if you're an online entrepreneur with an Instagram page and a personal brand, for example, if no one could see your life, would you still want to live that life? Because if not, then you know you need to change something. The second question that I always ask is, what are you chasing and what do you think it will give you? Like, look, brutally honest with these questions, just radical fucking honesty. Like, really, what do you think will happen? What do you think it will give you? Because that question to that answer, you will get a lot of knowledge and a lot of direction from that specific answer, because you know that that question is tied to something that you want, but that thing is never going to give it to you. Most men just simply never ask themselves these questions, and that is exactly why they are stuck. So then the third thing that I would recommend you do is start building for alignment, not for validation or for making things look good. Start building from truth. Start building with what actually feels aligned instead of what looks right. Because this is exactly what I did. When I had my sales coaching company, for example, obviously that was very focused on making money and Wolf of Wall Street and luxury, this and that. And my Instagram page looks like every other guy's Instagram page right now who sells something and make money online. It's just a dark aesthetic, Dubai, cars, luxury, suits. It was all about money, cigars, fancy dinners. And it looked cool, at least what I thought. It didn't feel real. It didn't feel aligned. And I was making something because I thought that would make me money. And it did make me money, but it wasn't a life that was real. Now, I don't mind it. Like, I go out to fancy dinners. I smoke a cigar every now and then. I want to do nice things. But right now, I've completely switched everything up. Like, I've been sharing stuff that is not luxurious. Like, I've been sharing the most nitty-gritty fucking shit that a person can share. I've shared everything. Like, my deepest and darkest secrets, the way that I fucked up, the way that I, took drugs and crazy parties and Latinas and whatnot, like crazy shit. Like, I shared all of that. But I also shared other stuff, just the real stuff, just the vulnerable stuff as well. And with that, what I noticed is that brought me so much more. So even though it's not maybe the nicest, it doesn't look the nicest, right? It doesn't look good per se, but it's real. It's authentic. It's something that aligns with where I'm going, who I want to become. And I notice it. The people that come to me because of that are the people that I want to work with. And it inspires people because it's real. Nothing of that stuff that you see online, whether it's with Porsches and this and that, like it might make you money, but it's not real, right? And if you feel a lack of fulfillment, if you feel a lack of purpose, if you feel a lack of direction, then none of these things are really going to help you. Step 4, we already touched on this a bit, but that's just sitting with the feeling. Like, again, Tony Robbins says this as well. But sit with those feelings, sit with your emotions, understand what is going on. Because at the end of the day, if you want to truly gain self-mastery in life, if you truly want to feel fulfilled, most of it comes down to two things: regulated nervous system and regulating your emotions and understanding what's happening, and then being aware of that, and then being able to choose actively, like consciously choose something different based on those emotions, right? That's basically it. Which takes time. Obviously, it takes 3 to 4 to 5 to 6 months before you really start, doing that. This is why accountability is so important, why maybe someone in your corner that understands this work is so important. But you have to sit with it because it's a signal. It's not something that you should escape from. And you can try to outrun it, like I did. I tried to outrun it for, what was it, maybe 5, 6 years, and it came to cost me because it will just always catch up. And the more pressure that you put on, the more you run away from it, the bigger it becomes, the more it's going to own you, the more it's going to dictate every single aspect of your life until, like I said, something crashes, something breaks. This is what is called identity fracture, where you subconsciously sabotage your life in a way to face the things that you need to face in order to grow forward. That's the thing. Because deep down, there is a part of you that wants to grow, but there's also a part of you that holds you back. Those can't coexist for too long. This is the reason why most people also experience midlife crises, for example, which you do not want. You'd better have a crisis at 25 and just be done with it and learn how to deal with it and learn how to do inner work, than have a very good rest of your life instead of just being 45, having 3 to 4 kids, breaking up with your partner and going through all sorts of nasty shit. So that is how I dealt with these things, guys. most of the things that you want in life are not when you run away from it. It's not just escaping behavior. And you know what you're doing. Like, it shows up in the tiniest and littlest of things. It could be procrastinating. It could be endless doom scrolling. It could be drugs. It could be women. Whatever it is, it outs itself in so many different ways with men. But when you find true direction, when you find purpose, when you find fulfillment, you don't need anything else, because you know exactly who you are and who you're not. You know exactly where you're supposed to go, where you're supposed to stay away from. Relationships become easier because you can just immediately understand who you want to be with and who you do not want to be with, what friends you need to get, what friends you need to stay, what people you need to stay away from. It functions as a sort of internal compass that you have that guides you in every direction of life, which is exactly what most guys are missing, because we never really learned to do these things in the first place. So when you work on those things, your life will become significantly better. Your business will flourish, your relationships will flourish. You will act, feel, think, and perform better every single day. And that is eventually all you want. I don't want you to go through the same stuff that I went through. So this is why I'm sharing these videos. And if you want to know more, hit me up on Instagram. I'm happy to talk to you. I'm happy to chat to you. I work with online entrepreneurs. I work with high achievers in the online space, mainly because that's what I did. There's not really anyone else talking about these things, in my opinion. And I think that it's a big problem in the industry right now. And a lot of guys are struggling with that, who are very capable. And if you figure out the problem of you, if you understand yourself better, everything in your external world would become better. You can still have nice cars and post these things on social media. You can have nice watches and all these things, but the meaning that you give all of these things, the attachment that you have to them, it just disappears. And it becomes much more easy and effortless to live life, attract better clients, do your business the way that you want to, and live the life that you want to live, instead of living a life that you thought you want, but you never really asked yourself why. So guys, that's it for this video. I'll see you in the next one, and stay disciplined. Ciao.